Good morning. It is me, Pearl, from Pearl and the Prayers, and this is Tuned in Tarot. And we're here to take a look at the balance between the divine masculine and divine feminine energy inside of self, understanding that whatever state we find this energy in, we can see that reflected back to us in our interactions with others, in our external environment. And if we want to see change, we do need to shift and change the energy within inside of self. I think we're going to start with feminine energy today. I want you to remember that when I talk about feminine energy, I am not talking about you if you consider yourself a divine feminine. First of all, you should not consider yourself a divine feminine. You should consider yourself a person with the divine feminine and divine masculine energy within you. That is what we would refer to as anthropos, which is both human and divine. It is the human body and the spark of consciousness. And you may identify with feminine energy only because you resonate more with it, you've been indoctrinated to, or it's just part of your worldview, but you have masculine energy. And in fact, the person that you're attracting and that's causing you to feel that masculine energy externalize, their role is to be a mirror for your own masculine energy so you can understand why you do what you do. Again, I apologize for the state of my room. It's just gonna look like a crazy town until I move out. So that's I'm apologizing to myself that's gonna watch this later and be like, oh, it's fine. It's okay. I am still. This is day 6 of COVID. I genuinely still feel pretty shit. Although I have to work. So here's me working. I was telling my TikTok people that were here for the shuffle today that I don't want to spend a lot of time being like, oh, click this link, go here, book a reading, do this, bend over and kiss your own asshole. You know how to support me. If you feel like supporting me, I welcome your support and thank you for it and appreciate it, especially as I'm searching for a job now and, feeling pretty economically depressed. All the support is very welcome. But I'm no longer going to be like, buy this and do that and do it, because that's not why I do these readings. I do these readings because I want to know about my own masculine and feminine energy so I can figure out how to welcome abundance into my life and love into my life and everything. All right, let's start with feminine energy. So this is the emotional and creative side of self, as well as the emotional and creative side of any person that you might be focusing on. And that doesn't just mean the person who's, emotionally unavailable with you right now. You will find the dynamics of those elements into pretty much any interaction. Certain things will be emphasized more than others. And depending on your stability at any given time and someone else's stability, or in the in their balanced energy within them, it will affect your interactions. All right, so the feminine energy, overall headspace for the feminine and the overall heart space for her. We have the Empress today in her headspace. This is a beautiful energy, literally beautiful, but it's also the energy of gestation, waiting for something, growing something within you. It could be a creative idea, an actual life. There's all kinds of different permutations that energy can take, but there's this energy of waiting that is associated with this. So the feminine right now is thinking of herself as very worthy and accepting her inner and outer beauty. And this is the Disney Villains Tarot, by the way. So we have Rapunzel, and this is Rapunzel's mother, right? And then we have here the Two of Swords. So it's funny. I didn't even really focus on what card that was, and already was like heavy energy of waiting. So divine feminine, you're feeling. I mean, Rapunzel, she's in a tower, right? And the and so there's this feeling of being kept waiting in a tower. And I actually don't know that this is about so much another person as it's a feeling, it's a thinking that it's literally like the universe, like some power or force that is over you. Feeling mother wounds, mostly because we have the Rapunzel mother thing. Also, I know from my own ego's personal experience, it's heavy upon my mind. And the wanting to put up healthy boundaries, but also wanting to avoid um, having those wounds reopened or, just triggered, and just wanting to turn your head away. Look, she's turning her head away, defend herself. So, you know, not uncommonly, we have narcissistic parent or caregiver, and that sets us up for this energy in our lives where we tend to have lost a true sense of safety. And I just took a really great class with a master class with Witchy Wisdoms. And Lord, I'm going to start sneezing also because, like, that's cute. But when I took this class with Witchy Wisdoms, she was talking about safety and how important it is as the basis for anything you will go forward to do. And it's like it's like the bottom level of the pyramid of Maslow's needs, right? So you can't, enlightenment's at the top. Like, you can't really get to this part of your life where this spirituality and these higher level relationships are actually viable without safety. And so I think the divine feminine, who now has recognized what is worthy of protecting, like, she's learned about her Empress energy. Now she knows that this is worthy of protecting, and is working on putting up those blocks, boundaries, not blocks, putting up those boundaries or walls for safety, which may have resulted in people blocking people. I don't recommend blocking. When I've needed to block somebody, it's been because I haven't trusted myself not to look at their content. And that I can understand the motivation for that. But if you listen to the statement that I just made, I have said, I haven't trusted myself. Okay. So we tend to block people when we don't trust. And so that wound that wound must be healed. So blocking somebody is a wounded behavior. It is not the behavior of somebody who is balanced or in union inside of self. So for those of you that have been like, I'm coming into union, and then your person doesn't write to you on Valentine's Day and you're like, that's it, I'm blocking them. You can, there's no shame. It's just a moment of self-reflection where you can be like, oh, I'm not in union in myself. I don't trust myself. Because someone who's in union in self doesn't need to block anyone, because they don't view other people's actions or behaviors as personal in any way. So, another person goes and does what they do, and it doesn't really, ultimately that it doesn't really have a lot to do with you. Your head and your heart are in union. You trust your mind to make logical decisions. Your mind trusts your intuition to help you feel what decisions are best for you. So that's all this is the overall energy of the head and heart. So the feminine right now in her energy is learning how to protect what she now knows is worthy. So if you've been having these experiences of, like a lot of a law of assumption or the law of attraction, I see it a lot with law of assumption. They'll be like, if your SP isn't coming back, it's because you don't feel worthy still. And you're like, I don't fucking understand that, because I've literally been working on self-love and worthiness for fucking ever now. So how can it be? And they'll be like, oh no, you still don't. I actually think that there's a tendency, or there's a time where you move into knowing your worthiness, but having to find that last piece, which gives you enough self-love to protect yourself. That's something that you have to have a lot of self-love for. And that's why, so blocking is kind of a mixed thing, right? It is a wounded behavior, but it's also a sign that you feel worthy enough to protect yourself when it's not done reactionary. Here's the thing. Okay. A lot of people comment on my videos as if I'm their person, because I do tell me everything where I speak from the first person. So I get all kinds of insults. I actually, last night, I didn't post it because I was too sick, and I watched, I was like, nobody's going to want to see this, but I made a video for Valentine's Day where I said, to all of you divine feminines who say mean things to me on my posts, I just wanted you to know that I wish you a happy Valentine's Day and that I do love you. You're divine masculine. Because people just identify me as the divine masculine from those videos. But something that I notice, and I think is an interesting phenomenon, is that I do think that when you're in your ego, there's a part of you that thinks that you're blocking somebody is going to make them pay, right? Oh, they're going to pay for that. They're going to, it's a reactionary, ego-based form of protection. There's two kinds of protection, okay? There's the one that your ego sets up, which is like the Eight of Swords, where you are protecting yourself in ways that are actually harmful and isolating. That's blocking somebody. Or blocking out others, or deleting all your social media accounts, even though you're just going to reactivate them in a couple of weeks. Like that's an ego-based reaction. It doesn't serve you. It doesn't help you. It doesn't, and it's meant to, it's like when you're a teenager, or not even a teenager, you could be a little kid, and you're like, I'm going to run away from home. I'll show them. You start packing your wagon or whatever, and head out the door, run away from your parents. It's a wounded child reaction. And I'm not calling you immature or childish. I'm saying there's probably something in there from your childhood where you received a wound. And that is the way that you learn to react. And that makes you feel like you have some power. And so you go back to that wound. There's nothing wrong with you. You're not immature. You're not childish, or nothing like that. It's just from your wounded childhood. As you start to heal that wound, the reactions like that go away. So you're not trying to protect yourself from an ego-based way. When you protect yourself from a heart space, which we're seeing the feminine do with this two swords in her heart space, right? It's not in the head space, not like this. She doesn't feel like the Empress and then, block somebody, thinks she needs to block somebody. She thinks of herself finally as worthy, and she feels that it is appropriate to create a boundary, a healthy boundary. That's protecting yourself from your heart space, and that's completely different. So the feminine is really matured in this way, and healed in this way. Underlying all her thoughts and decisions it's just so fucking interesting. We have True Love here, which is the Lover's card from the Villain's Tarot, which is my queen Ursula. That's her. What's her fucking name in this? I can't remember what her name is. Like Vanessa or something. I don't know. It's some dumb shit. Anyway, this is Ursula when she's transformed into a human, and then we have and she has Ariel's voice. And then the Ten of Pentacles. So underlying all her thoughts and decisions, the reason she's protecting herself is because she thinks that she absolutely will experience true love. and she feels that she will experience material happiness. So she knows it's worth protecting, that she has arrived at this point. So what does this look like? This looks like you didn't hear anything from your person yesterday. They didn't call you. They didn't talk to you. They didn't send you anything. They did nothing. And yet you wake up this morning with COVID and you look like this. Okay. I mean, I'm paler, but like it's fine. I'm rocking my pale look today. Like you're still you, because you never were diminished by someone else's actions anyway. Now you know that. So because you have that knowledge, thank you for saying that was beautiful. You know that you are going to be able to achieve what it is that you've been hoping for. I'm also finding it very interesting that we have this very, scary feminine energy that steals the voice. We've got this stealing her power. Her hair is a source of power. Your voice is a source of power. So there's definitely these mother wounds that are healed in this feminine. This is a feminine who has faced these things and found really healthy ways to protect herself. And I am really proud of you, because I know the work it takes, because I'm doing it. I'm living it with you, and it's really hard. And so you should be happier today about receiving the messages from this reading that I just read than anything I'm going to tell you about the masculine energy that's going to do whatever he's going to do, blah, blah, blah. Like, it should be more significant to you that emotionally you have this kind of security and trust. That should be the best thing that happened to you today. The first thing in the mind we have of the feminine is the Page of Wands. So excitement, adventure, anticipation, exploration, initiation. With the Page of Swords and, my goodness gracious, just to emphasize it, the Page of Wands. So there we have complete union, head and heart, right away, right out the gate. You're thinking and feeling, and you're tuned into it. That's what that happened. That's what it means for me when both the head space and the heart space are in union. The Page of Swords is the energy of curiosity, and so this and learning and bravery and courage. So and there's like a fresh start energy to the Page of Wands. So, and like taking fresh action or doing things from a fresh perspective, and being brave enough to try new things, and also it can be a return to a childlike mind in a positive way, which is like when I encourage people who don't know what their passions are, how to find like what they would be very passionate about, to go back to your childlike mind of playing and pretend, etc. This reading may take me a long time because I have shortness of breath from COVID, so I apologize for that. But okay, so we have just this really beautiful burgeoning energy, bravery, and excitement. In some cases, the Page of Wands the Page of Swords can also be indicating that you are looking at someone, spying at someone, looking at social media, whatever. But I'm seeing a positive light to it. So if you are, it's making you more excited rather than feeling badly in some way. You're just kind of like feeling the spark, I guess, maybe, in some cases. Currently on your mind is the Wheel of Fortune. So we have this element of divine timing, the Sun, and the Knight of Swords. So we have a feeling in the heart space of your happiness and like a rushing energy, like rushing headlong into happiness. So you have a feeling that things are going to really pick up speed. You're also, your heart is really communicating directly to you what makes you happy. At this point, also, you're very clear on it. And the Wheel of Fortune is like, it's a good time. And it's a good time for something to happen. It's interesting to come post bleak Valentine's Day for those of us that had one and see this assurance on the feminine's part, of just knowing that maybe the feeling of getting through something challenging is making the feminine energy feel that she can face anything. She can, conquer anything. She can have what she hoped for, because disappointment hasn't made her lose hope that she will be happy in some way in her life. But the divine timing is heavily on the mind, and just sort of believing, feeling that good fortune is coming fast. That's finally going to be her moment. Remember, because she's protecting the mindset of the Empress. She's making sure that she protects that nothing takes her out of that Empress headspace. And if she stays there and she believes in her abundance and she believes in her prosperity, and she just keeps coming back, even when it's hard, even when she hasn't seen a return on her investment, she just knows that that's going to turn into something good. The next card's okay. In the headspace here, we have the Devil. So this is an interesting thing, because this is something that is feared, right? The Devil is something that is frightening, causes anxiety, but it can also be pleasure. It can be pleasure, allowing yourself to experience pleasure. It can be about codependency, and it can be about addiction. I'm not feeling a heavy negative energy coming from this, specifically because it's being clarified by the Empress again. By the way, this second deck that I'm using is called the Uncommon Tarot. It's a really cool deck, actually. I didn't realize, but the colors kind of go well with this deck. So we have the Empress and Head and Heart. Again, what I said before with the 2 pages of Wands. When you have that union, you're what you think about yourself, you also feel about yourself. So how is Divine Feminine dealing with this headspace that slips into fear-based thinking? She feels back into her Empress energy, which is exactly why the overall energy right now is, I think of myself as an Empress, and I feel that I need to protect this feeling, because as long as I know who I am, then I cannot be defeated by this Devil energy, which is really beautiful. Thank you to those of you that are following me. I'm seeing over here, liking my page. I really appreciate, or liking my page. Sorry, I have COVID. I'm just I haven't talked much in the last few days. Liking this video. Thank you for it. This live stream, whatever the fuck you want to call this shit. Thank you. I do appreciate it. So I really love this energy from the feminine. Now let's clarify it. So underneath the Page of Wands and the Page of Swords, we have what she's anticipating. The 3 of Cups, celebration, union, having a really good time, and the 5 of Swords in reverse. So she's not giving up on being able to have this love that she desires. Nothing can make her give up on this. It's just not going to happen. I'm noticing a lot of people entering the room. This is a collective reading, and if you want to see the entire thing, if you can't stay for it, or if you want to see the beginning, you can go to Tuned In Tarot YouTube, where I'm also live streaming at the same time. I just saw 44 on the clock when I stopped to say that, of course. So nothing will stop her from this wanting to come into union. She's excited about it. She's ready to be adventurous. She's no longer, having all this mental conflict about it. That's finally dissipating. And she really just feels union in her heart space. And that next, in the current energy, the Wheel of Fortune, the Sun, and the Knight of Swords, how she feels like something good is going to happen real soon. Like it's picking up speed. It's going to happen. It's weird. I don't know. I think my chat isn't on live chat. I'll mess it. There we go. I don't know why my live chat was on. So the Wheel of Fortune, something good is coming. I just know that it is. Underneath clarifying, that is the Fool and the Four of Cups. And I just heard, despite the missed opportunity by this Fool. And that's not the whole meaning here, but just this feminine being like, I know who I am. I know what I have the power to attract. So because I have this power to attract this, despite this opportunity having been missed on this stupid holiday, which, by the way, just so you know, I think the actual pagan holiday that Valentine's Day sort of usurped is Lupercalia, and that involves whips, blood, and milk, which is why we get the red and white stuff. So, which sounds more fun than like chocolates. Yeah, so just keep that in mind. If you didn't get to celebrate, with chocolates and champagne yesterday, truthfully, no one got to celebrate the true Lupercalia yesterday. Maybe very few little fringy people somewhere did, but anyway. So despite this feeling of a missed opportunity, and I don't think one has happened, I think there's been many, many chances in the feminine's mind where things could have happened and didn't. And the difference between this feminine energy that I'm reading today and the one that maybe I would have read 2 years ago is that it doesn't faze her, right? Because she just goes within and protects herself from that fear, from that mindset that would do anything to take her out of her divine feminine empress energy. She is a master, actually, we're seeing. And the opportunity is for a new beginning. That is what she feels this rushing headlong into. Something new and something good is about to happen. I feel it, I know it, I sense it. It involves something I love or someone I love, resulting in material happiness and abundance and wealth and prosperity. Not just the late stage capitalist hellscape version, but true material physical happiness. That's really something to keep in mind. It's very hard to shed our ego-based, indoctrinated capitalist idea of material wealth and prosperity, but if you can for a moment, that's what she knows is possible here on the earth, not having to wait until an afterlife, but actually enjoying it right now in this present moment. Clarifying the Devil and the Empress, we have in the headspace the Hermit and the Two of Cups. So that's so interesting because in her mindset, she's seeing that the devil energy has kept her in this hermit energy. And in her heart space, this Empress energy, this is what results in the Two of Cups. Now, the reason that this doesn't bother me, this is that this is her knowledge and her feeling, her intuition. So this isn't a decision she's making. I'm scared, so I'm going to protect myself and become a hermit. This is this knowledge that in believing that she can have what she desires, in facing her demons, in having gone within and figured out all of this information, she has actually ensured that she will have that Two of Cups, that physical meetup in reality with the thing or person that she loved. I say the thing because this can also be applied to career, like, and you should apply these things to career and not just to relationship. You should. One of the things that I teach, and there's a couple ways you can learn it. You can go through all of my content on Tuned In Tarot YouTube and watch all the free content that's there, watch the different readings, keep relating the energy back to self, keep figuring out, oh, how my person does that. How do I do that? Oh, my person's afraid to contact me. What am I afraid to express? My person, doesn't quite trust that they could stay committed to me. Well, what creative passion do I have that I'm afraid I can't stay committed to? When you're doing that work and learning, you can learn that from watching all my videos here on Tuned In Tarot for free, or you can work with me one-on-one and try to get to the bottom of some of the wounding and some of the ways in which you are kind of emulating that relationship that sort of brought you to the readings. But as you do all of that work and you figure all of that out, you find that what applies to your person applies to your passions, applies to your career, applies to your mom, applies to your the environment that you live in. It's all very connected, and this divine feminine has really learned that. So this is definitely, this reading is, we're looking at feminine energy that is highly advanced and mastered. Now, if you're coming in at an earlier stage of the journey, you might not feel that you're quite there yet, but this is what you are looking towards. This is the end result. This is what true union is. Okay, let's now look at the masculine energy. And for those of you that are here new, let me just emphasize that when I read feminine or masculine energy, I am still just referring to your energy inside of self, and it's reflected back to you outside of self. So your person will have all that mastery that we just saw over here, that you're like, oh man, I'm doing so good. If you consider yourself in feminine energy, like, I'm mastering everything, I've got all my shit together. That's the person that you're focused on. When you're in alignment, that person has the same mastery. So now they are protecting their emotions. They are valuing their emotions. They are believing that they will have love and they will have prosperity. They are feeling that things are about to change, that the missed opportunities that they've had are going to result in a new beginning, that their empress, the feminine in their lives, is protected. And that Two of Cups is they can trust in it. So that's why it's important to listen to feminine messages and not to disregard them. And I often remind people that one of the reasons that you are so quick to disregard feminine messages and just completely bypass them and go listen to the masculine message is because of the patriarchy. Because you do find it, until you are in your Empress energy, you value masculine energy more than your own. And so you don't care about what's going on with the feminine energy, because that's the weaker energy, and it's not as, you're like, well, I already know that, or I don't care about that, or because in truth, you're like, I don't understand why I attract emotionally unavailable people. It's because you avoid the emotional part. You avoid the feminine energy, the feelings that are coming up within. And so you choose people who do the same thing. It's all connected. It's very important to understand this dynamic, which is why, even though I have been impoverished by doing tarot for the last few months as my main job, that I keep showing up, because I was called to do it, and I was called to do it because of all the readers. I don't see very many readers who teach this information. And I notice, so one of the things that happens for people that follow me is I'll see people for a long time and then they disappear. And then they'll contact me and be like, you were right. I needed to stop listening to tarot readings about divine masculine energy because I was focused on it, and now I have come into union. Now I have found my person. Now I have healed this. Like, that's happened to me at least 3 or 4 times in the last year, where somebody has disappeared and then they pop back up and they're like, I'm so happy that I learned my lesson and actually started to apply these things. So it works. You just have to keep doing it. Divine Masculine headspace. We have the Nine of Wands here from the Labyrinth Tarot. And the Sun card in the heart space. So the headspace, we're thinking about, this is victim mentality, wounds that are needing healing, licking wounds, being isolated, but it's a 9. So when we get to a 9, right after the 9 is a 10. So we're like, almost there. We've almost completed this journey through this healing. And what we feel in the heart space is joy, bliss. We have enlightenment. We have a spiritual enlightenment. I feel that the Divine Masculine thinks that he is isolated from sharing joy with the Divine Feminine. So there is definitely this feeling that he thinks that, it can be that he thinks he victimized the feminine, but there's no one in this image. Now, I mean, granted, I have 50 some decks here in boxes on the floor next to me. And I do think that this masculine, or that I chose this deck, what am I trying to say here? I chose this deck somewhat randomly, but when I do that, there's meaning behind it. So it's neither one of them that's necessarily the victim here. It's generally both of them that are healing. But we do see the feminine energy here that's joyful. So it looks like to me a healing of our emotions, right? A healing of the feminine energy. No longer wanting to feel victimized by emotion or cause someone else to feel emotionally manipulated or hurt or wounded. So he's thinking this is overall right now the healing of also inner child wounds, which goes in alignment with the mother wounds that was happening on the other side. We've got, if we're healing mother wounds on one side, then there's an inner child that's healing on the other. Underlying all his thoughts and decisions right now, we see the Temperance card, which is a door. And I think it's very interesting that it's a door, because it's like a doorway into something. And then we see the Eight of Swords in the heart space. Ooh, I'm starting to get like, I think my fever's breaking because I'm starting to like cold sweat here. So the Eight of Swords is an energy of protecting yourself. I talked about it. I was saying, when I talked about the Two of Swords, and I was saying like there's some protection that comes from your heart. That's like, I feel that I need to do anything I can to protect this feeling of the Empress energy. And then there's the kind that comes from the head, from the ego. And that is the Eight of Swords energy, where you're protecting yourself from success. You're protecting yourself from good things. And it's, I reframed my whole take on the Eight of Swords a long time ago. For me, it is no longer the energy of sabotage. I don't like that. Sabotage makes us point a finger at ourselves or feel bad about ourselves. It doesn't help. It doesn't heal that word or that concept. We sabotage something for a reason. There's a reason why that happens. Now, sometimes people are malicious. They want to sabotage something because they want vengeance against somebody, or because they really don't want it to work out. Like there's literally some kind of an intent of a malicious intent in sabotage, but that's not the kind of sabotage that's here. This is the reasons that you sabotage something from the ego is to protect yourself from a negative experience. Now, you create negative experience by doing that, but it's one that you understand, you're familiar with, comfortable with. I just saw 44 on the clock again. So it's something it's something that you are, how do I want to say that? Well, I often say one of the phrases that I say is your brain is designed to help you survive, not to thrive. So survival is something that you learn. And if you are back in a situation where you have to survive, then your ego feels safer, even though you're very, very uncomfortable, because it knows what to expect and it knows how to respond. When you push it into that new energy that we're seeing over here on the feminine side, that's like, now that I've healed my mother wounds, I'm ready for love. Now that I understand why I fear my partner or a partner so much, I will understand the trigger. I will be able to address it, communicate about it, express it, and move through it. Now, does it mean I'll never get triggered again? Hell no. Hell, you're going to get triggered. I once heard that the best part of the person, your divine counterpart, is that they are a safe space for you to be triggered. And what did I talk about initially when I talked about the Empress and the Two of Swords? Safety is at the base of the pyramid of needs, right? Maslow's pyramid of needs. So being safely triggered in a relationship is what is absolutely the cure to having been in relationships that were unsafe. Because the reason that you're triggered is because you used to be in relationships that were unsafe for you. You couldn't be who you were without the other person projecting something that felt bad onto you. And I'm living in that right now, in my Empress energy, experiencing it and still having that wounded child come up, because it's always going to be there until it is completely healed, and it takes time for that. And the year that you learn the wound is there, it's probably not the year that the wound goes away, but it is the year that the wound finally begins to heal, because you can address it. You can protect the wound. You can clean it out, right? You can cleanse the wound. You can put protective elements on the wound. You can cover the wound if you need to so that it can heal, which might mean extracting yourself from the environment where you received the wound, right? So that you can protect it like a Band-Aid, and it is a Band-Aid. It's meant to be temporary. When you create distance with somebody in order to heal from the wounds, unless that person is, physically abusive and threatening your life, but I'm talking here about familial connections that are difficult to disengage with, like a parent or sibling. You remove yourself from the environment and you temporarily just go no contact, and you leave the Band-Aid on for as long as you need to heal the wound. That's what you do. So all of that is encompassed in these cards, because the Temperance is about healing and this is about protection. But underlying all of Divine Masculine's thoughts and decisions right now, we have him thinking about emotional regulation. He just wants peace. He wants peace. And we have him feeling this feminine energy that has blocked him out, or, and I'm not talking just about like social media block, but like telepathy, not communicating like in that way. And so, I literally used to use the mirror to communicate with my person. So, like Harry Potter style, but just doing what she can to really not see the masculine or whatever. He's understanding her reactions as triggers. He's understanding why he felt so emotionally tied up and bound because of the thoughts in his head. So he's really healing that Nine of Wands and the Temperance card, anything that has been blocking him from being happy, blocking him from emotional fulfillment. It's really, really healing that. I'm just realizing, Nicole, that you lost your moderator badge on this. Let me give it to you. I forget because I have this new account. Thank you for moderating, babes. Yes, and for those of you that are here and you're asking questions, this is a collective reading. Feel free to check out my website if you have personal questions. Private readings are there. But you'll get a lot from this. If you're asking anything about relationships or career or anything, you'll probably learn a lot about yourself and maybe even the reason why you came here and asked those questions. So stick around, enjoy, and thanks for being here. So first thing on the Divine Masculine's mind right now is the moon, and the heart space we have the Hermit. So there's a point of an intersection of my God, union, I guess we've got from masculine and feminine energy, the Hermit coming up in both their readings. Now the masculine, of course, this is the first thing on the mind and in the heart space, and so he's afraid of the feminine being alone. So in some cases, he's just afraid the feminine is on her own, and maybe in some, in not a great place, in a dark place, or not in the best, not. My person's concerned about my health. Like I'm all alone dealing with all these issues and COVID and everything that just happened to me. And there's fear here. There's anxiety about this. But I think that that's this self-projection, because ultimately I think that this Divine Masculine is really afraid of being alone himself and of having to experience his emotions all by himself without anyone to help him process. Excuse me. The moon is also about dreams and fantasies. But there's a lot of fear here coming up for this masculine right now. All right, let's skip the next position. So currently on his mind, he's really having a hard time here. Okay. We have the Nine of Swords and the Five of Cups. This Divine Masculine, he was isolating himself to heal himself, but he's seeing how he behaved, and I'm sure this has to do with Valentine's Day for some people, because there's definitely this element here of regret coming from this Five of Cups. And we keep seeing the feminine energy. I have a deck right now. I have two decks right now that have non-feminine energy in them, and it's not come out. The only thing that this masculine is feeling is that feminine energy, feeling those emotions, sadness, regret, and fear, and isolation, and it's a nightmare. And he just wants to wake up from it. There's like, he just feels so much regret, I just heard, like, how can I do this again? Like, how did I do this again? So a lot of fear. And you can look at it this way too, if you're trying to apply this to yourself. This is, how do I know that I'm an empress? I know that I'm an empress, and yet I am experiencing fear again. How is that happening? How am I? And it's like, because you're healing, because you're still healing, and healing isn't linear. That's why. But there is definitely this feeling of regret of like, why can't I get this right? Like, I know who I am. I know what I'm capable of. And yet I'm experiencing this nightmare, and I'm still alone, and I still, haven't achieved my dreams, and I'm still protecting myself, and my mindset is still limiting me. And like, why is this still happening, right? So that's how you can look at how, because a lot of times you'll listen to the masculine part of the reading, you'll be like, yeah, I bet he's feeling, regret about how he treated me. And I bet he's feeling anxiety about how it feels to leave me alone, right? That's your ego. That's your ego. That's not a loving way to respond, right? That's not a loving way. That's not the higher self. That's not your intuition. That's your ego being like, yeah, I bet he should feel that way. That's how he should feel. No. Um, it's you. Like, this isn't just the person that didn't text you yesterday. This is you wondering why you're still stuck on the person who didn't text you yesterday, or why you haven't been able to create wealth from the passion that you want, or be consistent with it, or why you're still thinking in a way that's keeping that from happening. Like, that's how you have to apply it to you. Okay. And then we have coming up here on his headspace. Oh my God. Okay. The Queen of Junk, or the Queen of Pentacles. The Labyrinth chooses junk for Pentacles because of the storyline in the film. If you've never seen it before, you're probably super confused. It's fine. Even those of us who have seen it are super confused by this deck. But it's okay. We love David Bowie. We love the 80s, and so we're just embracing that this is the only deck we're getting for Labyrinth because of the copyright, and it's fine. It's fine. It's fine. We can make our own decks in our head that make a lot more sense, but it's fine. It's fine. Okay. Queen of Junk, Queen of Pentacles. And who is it being clarified by but the Queen of Pentacles? So this union is very interesting. Now, in the headspace, Divine Masculine thinks the Divine Feminine feels incredibly burdened and awful about how she was treated, and this is also like you feeling like you have to carry all of this, stuff. Like, in the last few days that I've been sick, obviously I've been sick, which has been one thing, right? You're sick. And then I also have to find a new place to go in a few weeks because my environment is something I need to protect myself from. And I'm also not receiving abundance from my job. And I want to say a $1,900 difference. Like, I used to receive about $2,500 a month from my work. Now I get around $600 or so. And my car is $800 a month. So, right? So so in my mind, I feel like this bitch. Like, I'm like, yeah, I'm a Queen of Pentacles, all right. Like, if a Queen of Pentacles collects a bunch of junk and feels overly burdened and terrible, right? So the Divine Masculine is thinking, this is what I did to the feminine energy. I caused all this chaos. I caused all this, this heavy load upon her shoulders. But his heart space feels the truth, which is more in alignment with how the feminine actually feels about self, right? The feminine is like, I'm an empress, and even though things are scary right now, I will do whatever I need to protect my feelings of being that empress, because you know what? You can have the whole world falling around you and still be the empress. It doesn't matter what is happening in the world. In fact, the way that you look during that process is half what indicates whether you know who you truly are or not, right? So he's thinking of the feminine like this, but his heart space, when he tunes into it, knows that this feminine is strong enough. She doesn't really need him. He's kind of getting to this place, and this is what the healing is about, is that he's done this to himself, right? He has put all this burden on himself that is unnecessary, because when he looks at the feminine, she looks fine. He thinks she should be like this, but she looks like this. It's like, I'm on day 6 of COVID, but I look okay, right? So he's processing the difference between the ego's perception and the truth of the heart space, which is a beautiful thing. For those of you sending questions, thanks so much for being here. You can click the link in my profile for personal questions, private questions. Okay, so, or you can wait till the end of the reading and I will be doing paid readings. Okay, so clarifying the moon and the hermit, we have the Six of Wands and the Two of Cups. So this is really interesting. So, okay, so now we're seeing the moon and we're getting a little bit more of a sense that there may be some dreaming and fantasizing going on, because we're seeing victory with Six of Wands, victory over those wounds. And then the Two of Cups, which we saw over here and for the feminine energy. So there's that union there. So really dreaming that he can overcome his fears and anxieties and come to the feminine and bring her peace in the physical. Finally give her that companionship and that peace. In truth, I do not really believe that my person had any plans for yesterday other than to post what he posted. I do not believe that he had any plans like that. You know, that's part of probably this mindset for me, where I was just like, I don't think he really had any intention to do anything other than just make these posts, and which he did. And me just being like, okay, I mean, no. That's just, you should have called me, right? So I don't think he had any intention of that. But the irony of me having COVID and not actually being able to be in physical contact with somebody did not escape me. That even if my person had planned to do anything, he would have seen by my social media that he could not. So there's like this actual physical obstacle that also prevented myself from leaving, because I was packing. That's why my room is packed, because I was packing to get the fuck out of here. And I was gonna, I literally wanted to do it as quickly as possible. I had to like dial it back and be like, okay, you've got stuff to do this weekend. Because this was before I was quite sick. I was like, you got stuff to do on the 18th. You can't leave yet, but you can start packing. You can start getting ready to go, whatever. And then getting COVID and realizing I could be here for longer than expected from whatever recovery I have. I don't know exactly how it's going to affect my body. Like I'm at high risk. I have a lot of issues. I avoided COVID for 3 years because I'm high risk. I've been quarantined for a lot longer than everybody else, and I did that on purpose. Like, I went out very briefly in 2021 for a couple months. I went to a few events with my friends and had a scare where my friends got COVID, and I was like, I can't do it. I've got to stay in. And I literally stayed in. So the irony of getting it and being stuck here and in that situation has not escaped me. That it may have been a fantasy for my person to try to overcome these wounds and come forward and connect with me, but literally we cannot do that. Now, seeing as my person didn't get on the plane, I don't think they were planning to do that, but it's just that irony has not escaped me. Okay, clarifying that Nine of Swords and the Five of Cups, the regret that he feels for the feminine. We have the Seven of Pentacles and the Five of Pentacles. So the Seven of Pentacles is about taking care of yourself, tending to something, and it's about harvesting the fruits that we have tended to. It's about having to be patient, having to wait for something to develop, to go. And then we have, hi, Scooby-Dooby-Doo. And then the Five of Pentacles is about separation, and it's about, being out in the cold, and it's just really sad and really depressed energy. And so that's really what the divine masculine is thinking a lot. That's what he regrets so much. He regrets so much making the feminine feel so sad and so alone and so isolated. and so poor, like so much lack of affection, lack of attention, you know? It's just he just regrets this so much. And it's like, stop wasting your time with regret, honestly. Like, what a waste of time. But that's where he is. And sometimes we have to feel that regret in order to get us to make a change, do something different, do something new. But he's waited so long because of the separation, and the waiting so long is causing the separation. Now, the thing that I'm looking at is I've overstayed. I came here, I was supposed to be here a couple months, I was going to save some money, and then go try to get an apartment with my son. I had a huge, uh, just financial negative thing happen to me back in the summer, and coincided with my mother having, like, just kind of projecting some wounds at me and reflecting back self-doubt to me. And it was like the air went right out of the balloon. My business, even though it was thriving at that point, just took a turn. And then I was like, I felt stuck. Like I felt like I just need to make enough money for my car payment, because making my car payment is such a huge thing for me, because I had a repossession a few years back, because I've struggled with finances my whole life. Even though I have degrees and I'm pretty smart, like I know some stuff. I went to prestigious school. I'm a hard worker. I mean, for any of you that see my content, know how many hours I spend doing it, you know that I work hard. And so just, it's like, despite all my best efforts, I just will have these periods of lack. And it has to do with my Chiron placement too. It's like, it is my karmic debt. And it's a bitch. It's honestly a bitch. I was like, I know everybody's karmic debt is a bitch, but can I just have like a place to live and like some other kind of karmic debt that I deal with while I'm in my nice place to live? Because I've experienced homelessness so many times. It's going to be my third time. If I were to leave right now, it would be the third time that I would not have I mean, technically I'm homeless right now. I'm living at my parents' house, but so I'm not completely homeless, but displacement, I guess we'll say displaced. I got an offer to live in North Carolina for a while, and I'm considering it because I've never been there. My one of my really good friends is there, and it would be with like somebody that's like really on the level, like supportive, and again, it wouldn't be permanent because I want to get a place to live with my son, but it might be like a little transition place. So I have that feeling of safety, at least, where I won't be completely without home. But I've experienced this so many times, so many times. And I need to pay my car payment. It's just I've become fixated on it, and so every month all the money that I get just goes to that. It goes to my subscriptions, my website, pay my website, my I have I pay for YouTube, I have Hulu, my son uses those things, and then it's gone. Like there's nothing. That's it. I don't buy anything for myself. I don't spend fun money. That's it. And so because of that, I felt like I couldn't leave, but I could have left, right? I could have gotten in the car that I was paying for. I could have gone to some friends and like changed the scenery, and that might have like spurred some change in my finances, but I didn't. I felt stuck. I waited so long now, right? So I regret how long I waited. But again, there's no point in regret. And the only reason I'm telling that is just to show you it's not just about your person, but it's also going back to yourself. There's nothing more annoying to me than having an appetite, like wanting to eat food because I feel hungry, but not being able to taste anything. That's been the worst experience. Okay, Queen of Pentacles and Queen of Junk is being what do I want to say? Clarified, there we go, by the Queen of Wands and the High Priestess. Okay. So, Divine Masculine's final thoughts and feelings on this matter. He really thinks that the divine feminine has become overburdened, but his heart is telling him that she is strong and she is good on her own and she doesn't really need him. And now we have this Queen of Wands, which is this pretty freaking scary image. Normally, the Queen of Wands is like super hot and attractive, and like, like in this deck, she's pretty good looking, right? Like, and the Queen of Wands in this deck is somebody that's intimidating. So he thinks that she'll be angry or that she will be, upset with him. And then we're feeling, or he's feeling this presence or this, that she has this, like a spiritual presence too. So this is divine feminine energy. She's psychic. She's all knowing to a certain extent. He's really afraid of the position that he put her in. He really does feel that at this point that, she has her eyes closed to him. She's like maybe not even interested in him anymore. That's what he feels. But he still feels drawn to her. He still feels pulled to her. He still feels connected to her. So he's still working out fear about feminine energy, learning to trust her. And I would be remiss if I didn't note that there are multiple queens here. And I'm hearing the mother and the ex. And that's even true for me because my ex was like a version of my mother. So don't associate this only with gender. There's the mother wounds that the divine feminine is protecting herself because she's healing or whatever. We're seeing it take effect here for the masculine. So feminine energy, she's the empress. She's got everything together. She's protecting that. She knows all this is going to be worked out soon. And then she's actually getting a confirmation of that because even though this was really icky, sticky, messy stuff going on over here, it's recovery energy, right? It's 9 of Swords. Like I said, the 9 is after the 9 is the 10. So we're like almost there. The 9 of Wands is recovery. The 9 of Swords is waking up from the nightmare, right? You don't see her sleeping and then the nightmare is happening above her. She woke up. She's awake. She's awake to the regret. She's awake to the choices she made. She feels it. And the Queen of Pentacles and the Queen of Wands together is like, there's a specific person that this divine feminine or this divine masculine feels very connected to. And he feels that presence that's very trusting. Like he feels that she trusts in herself. And it's like if you trust yourself, like let's say you have to convince a bunch of people there's an apocalypse. That's a familiar thing we can all experience, like we all understand, because that's literally what's going on right now. There's an apocalypse happening, zombie apocalypse. Everybody doesn't know what to do. The person who's going to be able to lead is the person who has the conviction of their own beliefs. The person who stands up and believes and trusts in what if they're like, listen, we need to all go north, okay? We need to go north. I know if we go north, we're going to be able to get access to this, and this, and these other things won't be able to get to us, okay? So everybody needs to listen to me and follow me. The only time that you're going to be willing to do that is if somebody really does trust themselves. Then you can trust them. You're like, listen, I don't know if this is going to work, but I trust them. I can feel that they trust that this is the best thing to do. They're not questioning themselves. They're not doubting themselves. They're not doubting this connection. They're not questioning the connection, right? What did divine feminine know? I know I believe in love. I believe in abundance, right? Thank you for saying I'm so pretty on day 6 of COVID. I love that. Thank you so much. Um, so, wow, this was a complicated reading. It took longer than I expected, although I wasn't sure because of COVID is giving me shortness of breath how much I was going to have to like pause and take a breath. But let's finish. I have 3 oracles each, so let's finish that and we'll call it a day. And I don't think I have energy to do personal readings. So again, please take advantage of booking a private one if you can. It will really help me financially, especially since I haven't been working in the last few days. I think it's been like four or 5 days. So, okay, here we go. Divine Feminine, lay a solid foundation, Beaver Spirit. Now, what's really interesting about this is that we, as I talked about that, the bottom of the pyramid of Maslow's needs is safety. And so the solid foundation that you need is safety, a sense of safety and security. You have to feel safe. When people come to me and, you know, they're seeking advice or how to deal with their masculine energy, one of the best pieces of advice I have is to research secured attachment style and secured attachment. And there is advice online for how to develop secured attachment, that is usually what your biggest issue is. And identifying some of the wounds from childhood so that you can have, compassion, forgiveness, and self is very important as well. So Beaver Spirit is here to tell you about a power of living within you that is born of spirit, the source from which all life arises. Excuse me. All right, we made it this long. We can get through this. This is the power to establish the sacred connection with the universal consciousness so you can deliberately co-create the world you desire. Know that it takes work, determination, and sustained effort to co-create and lay a solid foundation for your dreams. If, with spirit as your partner, you bring the twigs and branches of your intentions and desires and spread them across the river of time, you will be amazed at what you can do. You will find that you can even change the direction of the flow of life. You can ensure that your world will be prosperous and purposeful, filled with love and joy, and rich with magic and meaning. That which you desire will come to you and remain sustainably if you build on a sturdy foundation. Keep your intention and energy consistent and deliberate, using all your resources and the energy of this wonderful, productive time. Have faith, for with spirit to co-create with you, your success is assured. Spirit is your partner, helping you along as you change the course of your life in the way your heart desires. Wow. Okay, that's a good message for Divine Feminine. So lay a solid foundation, Divine Feminine. That's a 6 as well, which is the Lover's card, which you also got over here. This is so funny because I feel this right now. Hunger. We've got from the Prism Oracle. I have my apple right here, which I'm like, as soon as I finish this reading, I'm going to eat this. Okay, let's see. Hunger is yellow. So we're going to read about yellow first and then specifically hunger. Okay, where's yellow? There it is. Yellow is perhaps the most polarizing of all colors. I didn't know that. It has been associated with the sun, gold, divinity, positivity, and self-esteem, and at the same time it correlates to illness and cowardice. Yellow is connected to the solar plexus energy center. The energy center sits over the stomach, which is often thought of as the second brain, and helps control our moods and emotional needs beyond what our first brain, the one in our heads, tells us. It is also tied to the adrenal glands, which trigger the fight or flight response, resulting in anxiety. Yellow is a primary color and also a high visibility color. It is one of the colors that the human eye is most sensitive to, and as a result is often used to signal safety or caution. If you draw mostly yellow cards in a reading, it may be a prompt to take a look at the duality of a situation. Yellow itself has many double and contradicting meanings, so how is that duality arising in your life? Are you perhaps in a single-minded state and not able to see other perspectives? Take a moment to look at the situation from all angles and then trust what feels right to you. So, hunger says this card is not about the bodily hunger for food, but a hunger for something more, a craving for something that will nourish your soul. It signals a deep wanting for something to fill you mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. Ask yourself, what are you hungry for? This is such a poignant card for those in the collective who would call yourself divine feminine, although I tell you, just call yourself human, anthropos, and be both masculine and feminine energy inside of you. But for those of you that identify strongly with feminine energy, the reason why you want to be in a relationship so bad isn't because of the twin flame journey. You don't want to be in a relationship with this one single person because they're your twin. That's not why you want to be in a relationship. You want to be in a relationship with your twin because you are hungry for more. And you think, and that's why you're not in union, that the person will complete you. I just saw somebody, there was some post about a new movie that's like a twin flame movie or something. And it was like, have you ever felt like somebody just completes you? And it made me angry because that is not what the twin flame journey is about. Please stop perpetuating that. That idea, that concept is the reason for separation. Look what color separation is. Separation in this deck, as depicted by this Five of Cups, is yellow for hunger. Every single day you feel like someone else is going to complete you is a day spent in separation from that person because your higher self will not lie to you. Your higher self will not fulfill your ego's desire because it will be a lie. That is not true. The other person is not the completion of you. And I don't know why that it keeps being perpetuated, but it is. Your person is important. The person that you chose, God damn it. Hang on a second, everybody, hang on. So annoying, sorry. I hate that when you get a phone call, it affects like your live stream. Like, sorry, I was getting a phone call. I just wish the phone call wouldn't affect my live stream so that it wouldn't interrupt me. So oh God, and I also lost my train. Oh yes, that idea, that concept of being completed by someone else is why you're on this journey. You're on the journey to find out that the person doesn't complete you. That's the lesson. So, are you meant to be with the person? You're meant to know the person. The person is important. They're an integral part of your journey. You have chosen this person to represent this energy, to show yourself that you are already complete inside of yourself. There is nothing else outside of self. Nothing. Not a single material item, not a single, I don't know, a Coach bag or like a freaking trip to Paris or becoming a rock star or any of those things. None of those things are going to complete you. When you feel complete inside of yourself, just as you are, your head, your heart, the body that you already possess, all of that, when you have those things, then you will be able to experience all of the things that someone who is already complete and joys, including a relationship with a very significant and important divine counterpart. That will be a much more fulfilling relationship than any other relationship that you would have had before, because you figured out how to become complete. That is the only answer. There's no other answer. You can stop watching my content. You can never look at it again. Pretend I didn't say it if you want to. That's okay. That's part of your journey. But for every reader out there that makes you think or perpetuates that idea, they're wrong. Okay, I'm gonna be Leo Sun and Leo Moon and be like, no, they're wrong. They are wrong. So the reason the divine feminine is wanting that person so badly is because of the hunger. When you stop wanting your person so badly, that means that you've satiated your hunger. And that is a sign of union. And so anybody that's like, I have somebody that comments frequently, I need union on my posts. And I've been there. But that's hunger. That's hunger. So when you don't feel hungry for them anymore, that means you're full. And that means that when you do experience a relationship with maybe that person or maybe any other person, you will never be hungry again. You're never going to be hungry. It's like in The Sims, when you type in the cheat code for never getting hungry, or there's actually like you can choose it as one of your things. If you fulfill your wants for long enough, you can never get hungry again. If you fulfill your wants and desires long enough, you'll never be hungry again. If you fulfill your wants and desires, no one else, you. And if one of your wants is to possess another person, you might want to question that one, because that is weird that you want to possess someone else. Like you want to own that, you want that person. That's a want that is usually about a different type of a motive. Yeah, Sims, baby. Sims forever. Okay. I will never stop referencing The Sims. Okay, deep knowing in reverse for the divine feminine. So here's a little protection message coming out from the wisdom of the oracle today, number 43. I feel better than I thought I would feel, but I also feel pretty shit after doing this reading. Let's see. I was like, I don't know if this is going to kill me or not, but I got to do something. So you are in an empathy overload and need to get grounded again. So tune out for a bit. Hypersensitive, you're suffering from psychic exhaustion. This signals a time for a recharging of your batteries. Set energetic boundaries. Didn't I tell you? Take a salt bath, empty your mind, and get back to you. It is not a time to be too open, which you knew with your Two of Swords. You're so smart because you're tuned in. Soon enough, right? Which was the Wheel of Fortune, Knight of Swords, and the Sun. Soon enough, you can let your guard down. Right now, you need self-care and self-love. It is time to say no thank you to anyone in your life who exhausts you. Won't that feel good? Yes, motherfucker, it will feel good. Okay, now let's go over to Divine Masculine Energy, finish this reading up. Divine Masculine. We have Dolphin Spirit, this and that are true. Number 20. Seeing this dolphin just made me think of like nature documentaries, which made me think of last night I started watching Prehistoric Planet on Apple TV just because I was curious like what it looked like, and I was blown away. I don't know if any of you have seen it, but it looks so real. It looks like it's made by the creators of Planet Earth, and they basically used CG to make freaking really accurate looking dinosaurs, and they make it just like a Planet Earth documentary. So it's like, you know, you're following the birds do whatever. And I was like, what the fuck? You can't convince me all of this is not a simulation after I saw that. I was like, everything is a simulation. And if you have enough money, like Apple, you can make anything look real. Okay. Now I'm crying from coffee. Okay, body, we're almost done. I love you. I'm going to take care of you soon. Okay, dolphin spirit. Like her, like her earthly manifestation, is a reminder of duality. As the dolphin is both mammal and sea creature, so too is dolphin spirit both this and that. Two truths coexist. The story you tell, and another as well. The duality of life is present when we are suffering, for there is a blessing too in the helpers that appear. Within clouds are silver linings. When we later reflect on what happened, we can see that a situation was both this and that, and a choice led to both joy and sorrow. No relationship is either all good or all bad, and people have qualities of both light and shadow. Focus on the positive. I'm so sorry. For light exists alongside the darkness. Dolphin spirit calls for you to come up from below and enjoy a weightless moment in the sun as you dive in and out of this and then that. Accepting and even enjoying the duality of life. Why not join dolphin spirit in acknowledging and affirming the blessings present in this moment? In all areas of your life, there are aspects of both this and that. Today, you can celebrate this fact and recognize the complexity and the beauty of the fabric of the universe. You are at a place right now where your past self is still present as you move toward the new self you are becoming. Oh my God, something is just dawning on me. I'll tell you in a minute. Aspects of both selves are present, so even if you want to say goodbye to what was, you're required to find solace in this between time. Today is not a day to choose one over another either, but rather to accept things as they are without judgment or resistance. Even in matters of the heart, duality is present. Your next action will be obvious when you drop your bias and see things as a whole. Oh my God. I'm like crying, but not really. It's just from coffee. But I wanted to point out that this and that are true, right? Masculine did do this to the divine feminine, but this is also true. And I think existing in this space for him is really important. Like, he did put challenges on her, but it was not more than she could handle. He did hurt her by burdening her so much with this junk and this chaos, but it also made her know her own power. And I think that that's something that he really does need to be really mindful of. But the thing that I just thought of is that in my own personal experience, I was thinking about how the readings that we keep getting are saying, like, the divine masculine needs to know how to get to the feminine. Like, he doesn't know what to do or how to talk to her, or, you know, which path. It's like there's nothing obvious or straightforward, and like each path like lacks something, kind of, is the feeling I get when I'm doing those readings. And I just thought to myself that for the last few nights, and pretty much ever since I had that argument that I know I needed to leave this space, I have been in the same headspace where I have been like, well, I could do this, but then I don't know, how am I going to do that though? And I could do that, but I still need money to do that. And if I do that, but I don't have money though. And well, if I apply for a job, then I guess I just apply for a job. But if I do that and then I'm not showing that I have commitment to my passions or believe in it, and so then I'm going back and I'm actually like retracting back, and then so maybe I should do that. And I was literally like, ugh! Like, I was like, I'm sick, I just want to sleep, like I can't do any of it, whatever. And I ran over to my desk and grabbed my Prism Oracle because it's very straightforward, and I was like, I just need one card, just freaking tell me what to do, like really just give me. And I got the Rest card, and I was like, I hate you. Like, I was like, I hate that answer, just give me a freaking answer. And me just thinking about that, I know that's a side note to what we were, to this reading or even to that card, but me thinking of that just made me realize how challenged, like when we get those readings that says the masculine doesn't know exactly what to do, we're like, what the fuck, just call, like yesterday I was like, just pick up the phone, like, call me, buddy, or whatever. I was like, figure it out, buddy. Like, use the fucking phone. I think that's what I said. From us to us on the outside of the situation, we're looking at divine masculine and we're like, what the fuck? Just fucking use the goddamn phone. You call and you be like, hey, I'm sorry I haven't talked to you in a while. Let's talk, right? Like, that's so straightforward. But to the masculine, okay, he's literally sitting there going, well, if I call, then and then I don't, like, that's after all this time, like, I don't have anything for her. I'm not even in the same location as she is. I don't, like, there's no preamble. I have, like, in my case, my person has never called me and spoken to me. So, like, that just out of the blue, I'm just gonna call her out of the blue and just be like, oh, hey, I'm sorry, I'm an asshole. Like, want to talk? And of course, that he could do that. Literally, he could do that. Like, if he did that, I would be like, oh my God, thank you. I'm so relieved. But in his mind, just like in my mind, where I'm like, well, if I just pack my car and go, like, how I don't have a job that I will make sure that I pay for the gas and da 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 da. It's like, bitch, you left California with $300 and you got all the way across the country in 5 days. It was a bitch. Like, every day I drove 12 hours and then I would read before I went to bed, make $100 back when people used to pay for readings, make $100 so that I could pay for gas. And then the next morning, wake up, make another $50 so that I could, like, get a hotel room, have enough for a hotel room in the next place and do it again the next day. But I did that. I already did that, right? Like, it's already happened. So in my mind, I'm like, well, I can't do that because this is, none of that's real. I've already done that. I've already gotten in my car and gone to the next place. And then I got there. I was like, hi, happy to see everybody. Haven't seen everybody in a while. I'll probably be here a long time because I'll be crippled by fear. It's just, so just understand that as baffling as it is to you, why this person doesn't do what just you seem so obvious. They're laying in bed at night the same way that I was, being like, well, I could do this, but then I don't think that's a good, because this, and now she has COVID. Like, great. I don't know, like, it's just good to be mindful of that. Okay. Last two cards, and then I have to get the hell out of here, people. Love. All right. This is the masculine card right now. Love. It's pink, and it says pink is frequently associated with love, sweetness, nurturing, and compassion. Pink roses are often associated with affection and gratitude, and in astrology, pink is aligned with the planet Venus, which rules over aesthetics and love. Rose quartz, a popular crystal known for its light pink hue, is said to be useful for connecting to matters of the heart and boosting feelings of self-love. Brighter shades of pink, like magenta and fuchsia, convey a sense of excitement, while lighter shades of pink are often used to bring feelings of relaxation into an environment. A common theme among the pink cards in the deck is tenderness and love, which are what you're working with if you draw mostly pink cards. Love and tenderness, either for yourself or another, are really all about approaching things with a sense of gentleness and sensitivity. How can you be more kind to yourself and others? How can you approach life with compassion and an open, soft heart? So these are all things to pose to the masculine. When this card arises, it is a sign to notice the love that exists in your life, whether as romantic, platonic, or familial love, or even an intense interest. Where and how is love manifesting in your life? How can you embrace it? So the divine masculine right now needs to focus on his heart space, which, by the way, was doing a lot better than his head space in this reading. Okay. And then final message for the masculine energy is the fates. And it is number 17. Okay. Fate, karma, acceptance that there are things you cannot change, and knowing what those things are. So this is about the serenity prayer. The relationship message is, other people are who they are. You can't change them. The challenge is to accept them as they are and not try to make them otherwise to suit you. This is a time to look at how you attempt to mold people to fit your view of how they should be so you can remain in the relationship and avoid discomfort. What if who they are and whatever is happening between you and them is, in this situation, is perfect from the perspective of spirit? Now is the time to accept what you cannot change, even if it means that you honor yourself, spirit, and the other person by moving on. Love unconditionally, for each of us is on our own journey and we cannot direct that of another. Be aware that this relationship is indeed fated. You are meant to evolve into a better version of yourself as a result of it. Now, here's what I think is most poignant in this reading. Thanks for sharing, by the way. What I think is most poignant is not moving on, and although for some that probably hit home and is true. What I think is that this masculine is supposed to accept that he can't change what he regrets, right? Part of the reason why it's so difficult for him to come up with a way to come forward is that he can't change anything that he did. He can't really make up for it, right? He knows intellectually what a shitty deal this feminine energy has received by not being prioritized, loved, adored, respected, trusted. And remember, this is when you don't trust your creative side of self, you don't trust your emotional side of self. You can't do anything about all of the times when you ignored your intuition, when you ignored your truth, when you ignored your emotions because you thought it would be better to just do whatever your brain was telling you to do. Like, you can't change that. And you live in a state of regret instead of finding ways to step forward now and make up for it by just showing up in this new evolved form, this version of self that has learned from how you acted before. Part of the 30-day challenge that I've been doing on my Pearls Prayers account is making up for this lost time of this year where I spent completely ignoring music, just completely ignoring it, because I feared that it would never be something that would be at the center of my life, that it would never produce abundance for me, that I would never get to do my music career the way that I dreamed that it would be. And so in the all or nothing mentality that causes us to protect ourselves from our joy, I just left it out to dry and I did nothing. And that made me feel worse about myself and about music. And so the 30-day challenge was about recovering from the regret. I took the steps in my life to say, okay, that's what happened for 2022. 2022 was the year that 6 months of that year, my music nothing happened. Lest we forget that I performed an incredible concert in Echo Park before I left Los Angeles. I headlined. It was amazing. But I have a tendency to erase those things. And I found out why when I had that terrible argument with my mother, who just erases all the good things I've done. And has this really weird view of me that was completely out of alignment with what I know is true. My Empress energy, right? So, you can't change things. And the masculine has to accept that. He can't go back and not have had his dick fall into someone else. Like, oops, that happened, right? He can't go back and, send a Valentine's Day card or call and give a Valentine's message. He can't go back. He can't. All he can do is go forward. All he can do is move on from the regret and from the feelings of separation and from the anxiety and from the worry and embrace what he knows is true. He is drawn and connected to this passion, to this energy, to this feminine, whatever it is. He is called to do it. It is part of his journey. It has become part of his soul. And he can go with that. And that's where he has to be right now. So the conclusion of all of my divine tune-ins, collective divine tune-ins that I've been doing for the last, I don't know, it's been over 3 years, 3 years, 2020, It's not always like this person is going to do something. It's really more about here's what I can do to make myself feel the mastery 1044 on the clock that I need to have in order to create my best life, in order to really create my best life. There are a lot of steps I can take, there are a lot of things I can do. And this is how I can look at how I've been behaving, how I can forgive myself for it, how I can understand my behaviors, how I can understand my actions, and what I can do moving forward. And it's so important that I knew that I had to get up and do it today, even in my condition. So I thank you all for being here with me today for this reading. And for the last 3 years, for those of you that have been doing it with me. I know post Valentine's Day can be a big letdown for a lot of people, and it can be a tough day. But we all have a lot of love in our collective. There's a lot of love I receive from the people who comment and message me, and I'm always sending it back to you. So if your feeling yesterday was that you were unloved, know that that was an illusion, because I do have love for you. I have love for the situation you're in. I have love for the pain that you suffered. And the other thing that I've noticed recently, I just started texting another person who I did readings for and now I'm friends with. And our lives are so parallel again. I have another friend who I always say is my twin. And now this other person's in my life and she's my twin. I have someone else who's like my twin. At the end of the day, I was like, wait, we're like, there's not just like the twin flame, the person, but we are all twins. We are all reflecting these things. We are all having these parallel lives. Now, is it because it's a simulation? We're all programmed, we're AI, and we're figuring it out? I don't know. But it's something that I cannot deny. And the shared experiences, the way we can relate to one another, the connection that we have formed through these readings, through listening to these messages together, and trying to apply this to our lives together. That, for me, is what I always come back to. It's like when I feel the worst, when I just can't take it and I just don't want to be here anymore. I always come back to that community that is there, that I could have so much fun with and laugh with, and make jokes from the 80s and they will get like, I am so appreciative of that, and just hold on to that. Hold on to the love that's here in our community, because that's really what we're meant to experience. We're not meant to just be little isolated people all by ourselves with 20 lawnmowers on one street. Like, we're meant to be together in a community. Why do we like shows like, I've been watching Vikings and stuff. Why do we like those shows? Like, on those shows there's these groups of people and they're like pitted against one another, and they have to come together and collectively figure things out. Like Stranger Things, it's like a group of people and they face challenges all together, and we are meant to connect with everyone, not just with one single person in these little pods. That is what keeps us from thriving and growing. Um, Keeping people isolated and pitted against one another is how they reduce the incidence of revolt in the concentration camps in Germany. When people arrived at the camp, the only food source was soup, and they didn't give anybody a bowl or to eat the soup. So immediately you either had to come together and share your resources, or you had to fight for them. And if you were feeling like every man for himself, fighting for those resources, stealing them from one another, and not in a community, then there would be no way that you could throw off the shackles of the environment. There was no way for you to come together, because power exists in coming together collectively as a community. So, that's just, it might be why you're on this journey, to discover that truth. And if it's something that you feel like you're abandoned or lost or you don't have anyone, just know that that is that illusion, because we all do have each other here collectively. Okay. I am going to go eat this apple to keep the doctor away and then go to sleep. All right, everybody. Thank you so much. I love you all. I'm so happy that I can still smile and laugh, even probably in one of the worst couple of weeks of my life. Take care, everybody, and I will talk to you all very soon. I don't know when, though. I may try to do another reading tomorrow, but we'll just see how I'm doing. But take care, everybody.